Alright, sit down. You guys have pissed me off. I've been getting a shit ton of comments of Gojo versus jinwoo, and I'm tired of explaining this, so I'm going to just put it all out there. Before I start, let me say that I am not glazing anybody. I will try my best to support everything I say with facts, screenshots, and references from official documents. If you still have a problem with it after, I can't help you. A lot of people get angry because we keep saying, oh, jinwoo solos this, jinwoo solos this. Jinwoo is not all powerful. There are so many characters that could beat him. But a lot of the time, if you check, the people that they are putting up against jinwoo are not a proper matchup. That is the equivalent of saying we are glazing simply because you put Madara versus 10-10 and we're always saying Madara wins. What does 10-10 want to do against Madara? You put somebody with such limited abilities against somebody with greater possibilities of winning, and you are angry that we're choosing the bigger one. Now, I'm not going to say a lot about Gojo because I think at this point, a lot of us already know his abilities. 6 eyes, infinite void, limitless, infinity, spatial manipulation, the list goes on. Now, let's talk about jinwoo. One of the major comments I've seen is that jinwoo without the system is trash. The system is limiting his power. The system was created in order to transfer the powers of a god to a mortal body, because a regular mortal body would explode 94 times over before it was done transferring 20%. Ashburn, the previous Shadow Monarch, said that for him and Antares, who is the only other person to be stated to be on Jinwoo's level at the time, were too powerful for any mortal vessel. What did they do? They decided to train up the body so that it can handle the power. And at a point, Jinwoo gets the full power and deletes the system. Now, the major reason I see people saying, oh, he can't beat Gojo is because of Infinity. Infinity is spatial manipulation. Gojo is just manipulating the space around him to create Infinity. Jinwoo has enough spatial manipulation feats to take it on. By the end of the solo leveling manual, solo leveling Ragnarok, and the light novel, Jinwoo has the ability to open gates to other dimensions, and also has a domain called the Terrain of Eternal Rest, where his word is law. In other words, anything he thinks of doing in that domain happens. Even when we look at what the previous Shadow Monarch Ashburn said when he was talking to Jinwoo, he told Jinwoo that the dimension is an omnipotent power. So if you put Gojo in that domain and he says infinity gone, because in that domain it is stated that both space and time do not matter in there. That domain alone takes care of both Gojo's infinity and infinite void, because if Gojo launches infinite void, it's just going to be like, oh, a dome inside the room. It was also stated around chapter 102 or 108 where the US Hunters Association brought Madame Norma to raise Jinwoo's limits in an effort to get him on their side. The moment Madame Norma looked into him, she said the endless darkness looked back, and she also said later on, he has no limits. Gojo uses infinite void. Jinwoo is the infinite void. You want to see Jinwoo's full army? This is his army. Please note, they are still dropping. This is not everybody. This is over 10 million shadows, not including the one he already has in the show. 10 million immortal shadows. And in case you don't know, almost every single shadow there is classified as an extinction level event. Grand Marshal Bellion alone has enough power to raise down the entire planet. If Jinwoo wakes up tomorrow morning and is like, you know what, I don't like it, get it off my screen, it would take Bellion mere minutes to do so. And one of the hunters said that one of the dragons that Jinwoo has in his army is capable of threatening humanity, all of humanity, and he had three. Those guys were not even on the level of Grand Marshal Bellion. You see, most of the guys that are coming down from the skies, those are angelic warriors. After he died and came back, the previous Shadow Monarch told him that he was going to live an imperishable life, and in death his powers has been made absolute. Basically meaning that even if you try to kill him, he cannot die, because he's now the concept of death itself. When Bro came back to fight the very people that killed him, aka the Beast and the Frost Monarch, these are people who took down the most powerful hunters on their planet easily. He came back and realized that the Beast Monarch had fled. And he said, who gave this man permission to leave? And he didn't search the whole battleground. He didn't search the whole city. This man searched the entire planet without moving a step, without raising a hand, without flinching a muscle. After Jinwoo got his full power, all of his shadows also received their full power. Igris looked at the Frost Monarch. They looked at the Frost Monarch and said, do not assume the mantle of king with only that much power. The third or fourth in command is looking at you after witnessing what you just did and saying, do not assume the mantle of king. That has to be one of the coldest lines in all of anime I have heard. Also, people call the interim. The interim are stated to be gods that are capable of creating and destroying universes at will. And Jinwoo was stated to be the only person that single-handedly stopped them. Name one person, just one person that Gojo has faced, capable of doing at least half of what these Ethereum guys are said to be capable of. People are so angry that Jinwoo is not losing to anybody. Jinwoo always wins. But these hunters that you're putting him up against are creations of the same species of the very being whose powers they are trying to transfer into him. Before you guys talk, try and do research.